Hey, so you're having a hard time getting enough distance. That's why you probably clicked on this video. You really want to hit it out there with your buddies, past your buddies, shoot better scores, have more fun, get the girls, all that. Because, of course, chicks dig long hitters.
Chicks dig the long ball,
as the saying goes. But having a really hard time. Well, let's address in this video some of the mechanical issues that a lot of short hitters have. That maybe you have one or more of these, and fixing this or clearing it up is going to help you get more club head speed and hopefully get the ball out there down the fairway further. Stay tuned. Hey, this is Steve with HitItLonger.com. I continue my journey to hit the ball longer and straighter than I ever have before. And I would love to pull you with me and take you there too and have you hitting your longest, straightest shots too. Okay, let's first look at the most common source of golfers hitting the ball short. Usually this goes together with persistent slicing. And that is that one way or another, the club ends up getting too vertical. So you could be one of these people where you loop over the top. Of course, that club shaft you can see is coming very vertically down into the ball. Big distance killer. You really want to get that club, if that's you and you're that steep over the topper. That's one way to do it. Another way to do that is you could be coming from the inside and then you might stand up through the ball, and that will really hurt your distance and accuracy too. That'll also tend to get the plane kind of tall coming down into the ball through the impact zone. So the way you're going to do better with that is make sure that the club comes back down the same angle. Think of it about a diagonal, about a 45 degrees going back, and practice coming into the ball again from 45 degrees inside to square. Don't have to swing too far inside to out. But remember that 45-degree line, like Hogan told us, keep the shaft and the club under the imaginary glass. You're going to pick up a lot of distance just by doing that. Another way that golfers really mess up their distance is if they try to pull. And a lot of golfers try to pull the handle either down or into the ball, like they're going to stab a beast with the sharp end of the stick. It can be very easy when you're trying to swing hard because you think that swinging hard will make the club move faster. You might actually be making it go slower by swinging harder. This is what the difference between effortless power and powerless effort. Somebody who pulls the handle of the club this way into the ball really makes it very difficult to get the club going around and picking up speed. Instead of making the handle pull, you'd actually rather do the opposite. You'd rather make the handle slow down through impact, and that will actually make the club accelerate. Now, a third way that I've seen people, very common way that I've seen short hitters operate that I've had in lessons is they'll freeze it. And this is what I mean. They'll be beautiful down into the ball, and then they'll tense up and lock the wrists, and they'll freeze the club head right here in relationship to their arms and wrists. And then the follow through will look like this. So we're talking about, instead of articulating 180 degrees of freedom around the wrist bone like this, free. See this motion? It's like a pendulum action. I'm giving it a little bit of push with my thumb on top of the shaft to get it going, but then I'm relaxing and I'm letting it pendulum around the circle. That's a great exercise. Even if you can't do it with one hand, do it with two hands. You can even start picking up a little swoosh right there. The opposite of freezing is what we would like to do. We want to go instead through the impact zone into almost complete effortlessness, complete freedom of motion, allowing the club to swing past the hands and around very abruptly in a tight circle. Freezing takes more strength, actually. It takes a stronger person to freeze the club because they never want to let it pass the hands. But I'm telling you, you're never going to get anywhere like that with the philosophy that you're not going to allow the club to actually accelerate freely. Accelerate the club past your hands this way. We want this end of the circle doing less in order to get this end of the circle doing more. We want less tension at this end of the circle. We want freedom, and we want to sling that thing by applying force back here to uncock it, just like pushing a child on a swing. You don't run with them holding on to them. That's the sense of trying to be in control, as if you don't trust that gravity is going to work on your child or your grandchild. What you actually do is they come up to the top, you wait for that pause, shove, and you give them a good push, and then you let them run. You don't run pushing with them. Golf is the same way. It's a burst of energy here to start the downswing, followed by a ramping down in both the sensation of grip pressure and effort, and going into more loose freedom, letting the club articulate around your wrist 180 degrees rather than squeezing it and stopping. But I do see that a lot. It makes no sense, but a lot of you out there will not let the club head freely pass the hands. I'll give you one more as a bonus. Amongst the shortest hitters that have ever come to me for instruction, this is the number one cause of not getting any club head speed. All of these things can go together, by the way. I've seen people with all four of these ideas together hitting the ball 130, 140 yards off the tee, full-grown men, mind you. And of course they can't even ever believe they'll ever drive it 200 yards, which is like really easy for some golfers to do, just that's a little flick. But this is what they'll do, is collapse the arc. So they might be following all the rules beautifully, getting into it, and then the follow through, they pull the handle in tight to the chest and do not finish the swing. So they abruptly stop like this, this is a real control mechanism also. This is somebody who does not trust that letting the effort go free, turning it over to gravity and centrifugal force, this force of going around the circle, is going to allow the club to track just like we want it to. But instead they're control freaks, and so they're almost like they're stopping and decelerating right here, and then that's the finish. So if this looks like you collapsing that handle in, and you can see my right wrist is still in extension. I have not been able to throw the club because of this, or I may have tried to throw the club, but this move, collapse move, will negate any positive throwing force you might have put into the system. So instead of that, what I'll do is I'll put them in this position. The last possible moment that the head is down and you're maintaining the posture. And I want them to get here, which is 3 o'clock, right arm, 90 or more degree wrist cocked back like this. So you can see this is cocked backwards 100, 110 degrees, just like that. And I want them to reach, I pull this thing out as far away from their chest as I can, and then have them put their left arm on and just hold that position for a while. That's how you'll replace this behavior, is hold that new position for 3 seconds each time. Then do some easy swings without a ball where you just kind of hold it. Reach out into space, and rehinge the club this way. Rehinge it past 90 degrees if you can, because the ball collision is probably going to slow down the head a little bit and make it much more difficult for you to get it past that 90 degrees. It might just even itself back out again. So those are the 4 things that most short hitters do Some do one, some do more, some do all four. How many do you do? Give yourself an honest assessment. Film yourself. Have someone help you assess, do you fall into any of these four categories and how many? As soon as we fix some of these things, rather than putting more effort into it, rather than buying new drivers, rather than speed training, make sure your mechanics are a little bit more solid. Employ the laws of physics a bit better to make the club travel faster, maybe square up better and easier, maybe turn over for a draw. Hopefully you'll get it out there 20, 30, 40 more yards just by shoring up some of these weaknesses. Hey, if you have any questions about the things I presented, concepts I presented in this video, please leave a comment down below if you just want to tell me that I'm doing great, or maybe that you didn't like the video and here's why. Again, I'm Steve. Check out my website, hititlonger.com, and if I don't see you in the next video, I'm sure I'll see you longer and straighter down the fairway. Everybody take good care.